Hi, this is Marc Elias, founder of Democracy Docket. It is Sunday, June 29th, and this is my weekly update. Boy, what a week in the U.S. Supreme Court we just had. I mean, the decisions that come at the end of the term are always stressful. They have gotten more stressful as the Supreme Court has gotten more conservative. But on Friday, as we were all parked in front of our computers hitting refresh, 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 we got the first opinion that we were waiting on right out of the box. It was a decision written by Justice Barrett. For those of you who are wondering, they actually go in reverse order of seniority. So Justice Barrett, being the most junior member of the Supreme Court, delivered her opinion first. The Chief Justice goes last. But Justice Barrett's opinion involved the birthright citizenship case. And this was a big, big decision in that it limited the ability of federal courts to issue injunctions beyond the relief necessary to brought by the parties themselves. So, in other words, if you bring a lawsuit suing the government saying that their denial of birthright citizenship injures you and you win, well, good news for you, you get birthright citizenship. But that injunction blocking the executive order that would take it away from you only blocks it as to you. It doesn't block it as to the millions of other people in America who would be affected by it. That is a huge change from the way things have been, which is that, individual plaintiffs or groups of plaintiffs could challenge a law. If the law was struck down for them, it would effectively be enjoined for everybody. Well, the conservatives on the Supreme Court in a 6-3 ruling said no more to that now the relief needs to be tailored only to the individual plaintiffs who bring the case. Now, this is a bad ruling for democracy. Okay, there's no like sugarcoating this. This is a bad ruling for democracy because it will empower Donald Trump to engage in gamesmanship and go forward with these unconstitutional executive orders, go forward with policies that are contrary to federal law, ignore the Constitution, ignore Congress. And then, as they are challenged, even if he loses, he only loses it as to the people who challenge the law. He doesn't lose it on a nationwide basis. He doesn't lose it as to, everyone in the country. And so it strengthens his hand. Like, it makes his ability to be an authoritarian a little bit easier. And as importantly, it marks a very, very important psychological moment. This is the first time since Donald Trump took office that we have seen the courts retreat when it comes to exercising their power versus Donald Trump, right? This is not them saying, okay, Donald Trump, you get to do what you want with respect to the executive branch, the poor civil servants who you fired. This isn't them saying, okay, Donald Trump, you get to trample on the governor of California, or you get to trample on Congress. This is actually the Supreme Court yielding power that the courts have been exercising and cutting that back to accommodate Donald Trump. And that does not bode well for the future of democracy. Now, that said, we don't want to overreact to this for a few reasons. The first is that the order left open the question of whether or not class actions or other kinds of representational standing would allow the effectuation of the same results. But those fights will take place in the months and years to come. In the meantime, we're just going to see a whole lot more litigation at the local level, at the one-off case level, and in more federal courthouses around the country. So it is more important than ever that you sign up to become a member of Democracy Docket, because Democracy Docket is the leading source for news, information, and analysis about everything that's happening to democracy in court. And there is about to be a lot more happening to democracy in court. I also want to tell you about a special live podcast event that I am hosting this Wednesday with Illinois Governor J.B. Pritzker. It is only for Democracy Docket Premium members. Governors are on the front line of protecting democracy, and there is no one leading the charge to protect against Donald Trump and authoritarianism more than Governor Pritzker is. He is fearless. He is unapologetically pro-democracy. I've known J.B. Pritzker for many years, and I can tell you he is not just a friend. He is the real deal when it comes to fighting for free and fair elections and protecting our democracy. We'll talk about Trump's abuses of powers, the rising threat against elected officials, and what the political future has in store. This live podcast taping will give members the opportunity to ask questions and, most importantly, go behind the scenes and connect with other members in the chat. So please sign up for the event now by becoming a Democracy Docket member at the link above or in the description below. Okay, Supreme Court wasn't the only thing last week. The Wisconsin Supreme Court rejected an effort to reopen and hear a redistricting case. This is an inscrutable decision. The court offered no explanation for why this is. I have no idea why the Wisconsin Supreme Court, now that it's controlled with a liberal majority, failed to step forward and protect Wisconsin citizens from the Republican gerrymandering that they now live under. That is a real disappointment. I've got nothing good to say about that, and we will see what happens there. The Republican National Committee made a little bit of news. They made a big deal that they are intervening to try to defend a Wyoming voter suppression law involving proof of citizenship. And what's interesting about this, just a point of personal privilege here, is they gave an exclusive to some right-wing outlets in which they said that they are launching an election integrity intervention against me. I live rent-free in so many people's heads over at the RNC. Literally, I could solve some of the rent and housing problems in urban cities if I just was willing to rent out the space they have given me rent-free in the heads of the leaders of the RNC. But yeah, so they're getting involved in a case because they are concerned that I and my law firm might protect the voting rights of people in Wyoming. So congratulations, RNC. We will see you in court, and we'll see how that goes. A new filing in a case in North Carolina is chilling. It shows that the North Carolina Election Board, which is now controlled by Republicans, and the Trump Department of Justice are now coordinating on a plan that would disenfranchise, let's say 100,000 voters or more. Look, this is where we are at in states around the country where Republicans control the process of elections. They are looking to find new ways to disenfranchise voters. And that is just the plain truth of it. I'm not going to, again, I'm not here. You can tell everyone, I'm not in a sugarcoating day. I'm here to just give you the raw, unvarnished truth. And Republicans are trying to make it harder for you to vote and easier for them to cheat. And DOJ is now working hand in glove with them. And North Carolina is not the first place where we've seen that. And it sure as hell is not going to be the last place. So again, another good reason to make sure you are subscribed to Democracy Docket and all of its coverage. And also, by the way, hit the subscribe button. It's right there in front of you on the screen, and become a subscriber to our YouTube channel for free. So look, the Supreme Court may be done for the term in issuing opinions, but that does not mean that democracy is not still on the docket. On Monday, in Florida, there'll be a preliminary injunction hearing in a lawsuit challenging laws that make it harder to participate in the ballot initiative process. It wasn't that long ago that ballot initiatives were bipartisan, celebrated in the states that have them. States like Florida love their ballot initiatives. The citizens there love being able to participate in direct democracy. That's also true in large parts of the Mountain West, some places in the Midwest. And Republicans, because they have policies that are really unpopular, they've gone to war on this. I mean, you see this in state after state. On Democracy Docket's website, they are constantly now attacking the process of these ballot initiatives because they do not want citizens being able to direct what policies they live under in their states. They don't want them to be able to amend their state law or pass new laws or change their state constitutions. Basically, they're afraid of you. And they should be afraid of you because, going back a few weeks to the No Kings events, millions of Americans came out in the streets and stood up to Donald Trump at the same time that he was throwing himself a birthday party parade with the military, which was both shameful and frankly a little pathetic. I mean, the pictures of that Very pathetic. Anyway, that's what's going on Monday. On Tuesday, the Third Circuit will hear a very important case. This is a Republican appeal of a decision requiring Pennsylvania counties to count undated or wrongly dated ballots. Okay, if it feels like for years now, all you do is hear me talk about the Republicans trying to throw out lawful ballots in Pennsylvania, that is because for years now, Republicans have been trying to throw out lawful ballots in Pennsylvania. And this federal court win by the Democratic Party to win this case is a really big deal. It's going to the Third Circuit Court of Appeals. There'll be an argument on Tuesday. Democracy Docket will cover that. I would also, by the way, connecting a couple of dots here, Third Circuit's the court that Donald Trump is trying to put his personal henchman on, Emile Bovee. You remember him? He testified before the Senate a few days ago and could not remember, among other things, whether he told DOJ lawyers that they might have to tell the courts, fuck you. And that, by the way, they also might disregard court orders. A really charmer of a guy. But anyway, he couldn't remember that. He also played the game that, he was not going to say whether Joe Biden won the election in 2020 or not. So an electioneer to boot. Yeah, that guy. That's the court that Donald Trump wants him on, that is going to hear this very important case involving voting rights in the state of Pennsylvania. So look, that's only some of what's happening. We are also waiting to get cleanup orders from the U.S. Supreme Court. The U.S. Supreme Court closed out its term, issued the last of its opinions. But what will happen next week is we'll get a series of orders. Those orders will include some cases that they're going to hear next term, and there are a few democracy cases that are in that bucket potentially. Also, we are waiting to see what clarification the Supreme Court offers in the Louisiana redistricting case. Remember, this is the case on Friday. They said they were not going to decide. We all were waiting for Chief Justice Roberts to issue the opinion, last opinion of the term. Instead, we were told that the case was being held over for re-briefing and re-arguing next term. And everyone's sort of scratching their head and saying, what is this about? My instinct, it's not up to anything good. This is not a good side for democracy. But we may get clarification as early as next week about exactly why the Supreme Court did this and what they will want the parties to address. And I can assure you, as soon as that comes out from the court, you know where you'll find it. You'll find it at Democracy Docket. So please, again, make sure you're subscribed, linked above and in the description below. I will see you next time.